Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is the Hoops Hour with the big man on campus for Saturday, February 8th, 2019. We're going to get it kicked off here. A lot of games to talk about. We'll get to all of them and more. Obviously, we can't go over every single game on the board, but we'll try to hit a lot of great spots here, try to have some fun, and give out a few free picks along the way. My best picks, and I got to tell you guys, there's 3 or 4 picks today that I love in college basketball. Those are going to be at rightwager.com, but everything else is free game here. We're going to start it out. Again, where we start is anybody's guess. We'll start with the 12 o'clock games, then we'll run from there. Again, cannot repeat things. If you missed the show and missed some of it, you're just going to have to go back and re-listen. That's why I do it at 12 or I do it at 10, so you have the opportunity to go back and listen, and you have some time to get your bets in. Thanks to all the great people for checking out the show already. 100 people in here, and we're about 30 seconds in. So appreciate all your support. Please hit the like button and join the show when you can. Also, tell your friends about the show. This is an ATS preview show. We talk about games against the number and try to give out picks. But you all know that. Let's get into the show. Welcome in all the people. I can't shout out everybody, but all of you I appreciate and welcome. And I'll tell you what, a little bit later we'll get to some questions. We'll probably last half hour just do some questions. I'll try to go through games that you guys want me to talk about, but let me get through about 10 or 11 that I looked at that I have some real good opinion on. We got to kind of do it that way. So all you guys, thanks for joining. And also, if you're on Twitter, retweet this show. Get it out to people. Saturday, everybody's around. Get it out to people that don't necessarily know that it's on. That's important as well. So please do that. We're going to start it out with the 12 o'clock games and work our way down. Let me just get this link out to people. That's one thing that I miss, and I'll miss about SPR. When you did a show, the links were tweeted out generally for you. But now it's a little different. I got to do it myself. So I'm just got to get this out here. TweetDeck is cool because it allows me to kind of schedule the tweets, when they come out. So let me just throw this one out. There we go. Let's get into it. We'll start at noon, where most people start, and it's the Temple Owls. Of course, my favorite team. They're heading on the road to take on the Tulsa Hurricanes. Temple laying 2, total 146 and a half, or 147. Line was at 1.5, moved up for Temple, and that makes sense. Obviously, Temple, the bet here for most. You get 80% of the tickets, 65% of the money on the Owls. And look, you look at Temple right now. They've been kind of, they always have that bad loss, and they took it against Penn University, but they're still in the field right now. This team has a good enough resume where they are in the field, but I still think they have some work to do. And when you're a team like Temple, where you're living on the edge, you're sitting on the bubble, you're very close to being in, maybe out in somebody's some brackets, you can't afford a loss like this. And this is a spot where Temple has historically went and lost. This is a team with, at times, not a real great mental approach. Their coach is not a guy that generally gets them up for games. But you look at some of these away games that they've had. They went over and took care of Tulane, took care of East Carolina, took care of Wichita. They've handled these certain spots on the road. This is a tough game, though, today. This Tulsa team is a pretty interesting group. They're a team that is very reliant on getting to the free throw line, third in the country in free throw rate. You look at Temple, definitely a handsy team, if you want to point out. They're not a team that can defend without fouling. Their bigs aren't particularly good, and sometimes they get beat off the dribble. So you look at a guy like Sterling Taplin. This guy's going to live and try to get into the lane. Temple's going to have to obviously do some things today to prevent that. I'm not sure if they will, just because they don't really make those adjustments. I feel like they'll just run with Tulsa and try to play with Tulsa. Both these teams are pretty decent tempo teams. You're going to get scoring in this game. Both these teams, very reliant on getting in to the lane, neither of which shoot the three at a great level. Tulsa decent, though. I like Temple. I think they find a way, but I'm just going to tell you all right now, this is a spot where Temple will stub their toe. Maybe kind of like St. Louis did. Obviously, a bit different situation. Temple's a better team, but I wouldn't be running to the winner to bet on Temple. I don't have a lot of luck betting on or against them, but it was the first game, so I felt like I should get into it. Oklahoma State, Kansas. I think this is too many points for Oak State. I was surprised to see this line was so high. It opened at 12. It's now bet down to 11. And I think, unfortunately, this is just too many points. You look at right now with Kansas. I mean, we can't argue that there's not some personnel questions right now with Kansas. Vic out, Marcus Garrett out, Azubuike's been out. There's a lot of scoring out of the lineup. You look at those three guys, 34 points a game now out of the lineup for Kansas. You got to wonder how they're going to rebound. They still have Lawson and, Dotson and several others, but this is still a remedial lineup, let's say. And this Oak State team, they're not going to bounce. They're not going to back down. This team can shoot the basketball. You have a guy like Lindy Waters. I think he's shooting at about 45% on the season. I've talked about the way to stay in games as an underdog, whether it's in conference or wherever. If you can make the three and make your free throws, you will probably most likely stay in games. You look at Oklahoma State, 38.4% from three. This team finds ways to stay in games because they can neutralize you by hitting the three-point shot. You look at some of their free throw shooters, pretty decent team, about 69% on the season. Most of their big boys can shoot the ball well. And you look at Lindy Waters, 94.8% from the line. This team should be able to stay in the game. I just think right now with the issues at as far as injuries, just seems like too many points to me. I was blown away by the size of this number. Just seems like too many. And again, I mean, even without the injuries, it's not like this Kansas team have been playing particularly well. I like Cameron McGriff. You like Lindy Waters. I got to be honest. I like the way this Oklahoma State team has been able to really stay with the season. They had some bad suspensions and kickoffs as far as Michael Weathers and a few others. They were able to find a way to battle through, and they're a real thorn in a lot of team sides. I'd look towards maybe grabbing the 11 here, especially it's an early game. Focus could be an issue. Kansas trying to deal with having those guys out of the lineup. I think this is a pretty good spot. Maybe even a first half. I mean, you could probably get 5.5 or 6 in this game, but 11 looks good full game. Wisconsin and Michigan. Obviously, the first game kind of jump-started a 6-game winning streak for Wisconsin. And look, I think they match up pretty well with Michigan. Obviously, the big difference here is this game is in Michigan as opposed to being in Madison. But you look at Michigan. Obviously, the questions are there offensively. They don't have a lot of depth. I think matchup-wise, Hap is a bit of a matchup problem for Ignas Brazdeikis. I just think he's too quick. I just think he's a bad matchup for Brazdeikis. He's a bad matchup for a lot of players, but Brazdeikis won't match. Brazdeikis can't kind of overpower him. They're kind of the same player, per se, from a physicality standpoint. So Hap's not going to back down here. It's a pretty good matchup for him. And you look at kind of the supporting cast right now for Wisconsin. They're playing some pretty good basketball. You look at the games that they were losing, they're now winning. They're getting quality minutes. And, you look against Minnesota, I kind of throw those two games out because I just don't think Minnesota is a good matchup for Wisconsin. But you look at in the Maryland game, they got a lot of scoring. Davidson threw 21 and Ford had 10. Yeah, they were a bit more balanced, 7, 5, 6. They had guys that were putting points up. It wasn't just Ethan Happ. They're all going to have to obviously they're obviously going to have to score today. They're going to obviously have to do a lot more because this is a great Michigan team with a great defense. But if you're giving me 6.5, I think the matchup's there for Wisconsin. I just think they're a pretty solid matchup in this kind of game against Michigan. I, I just don't think Brezdikas is a good matchup. Hap should be able to do whatever he wants against him. So I would lean towards the Badgers in this spot. Thank you, Mike Butler. Appreciate it. Listen, I'm going to try to get to all the games, guys. Just bear with me here. Thank you on Columbia. Yeah, Columbia. That was a weird line last night for sure. Lawan Pipkin's officially out. Yeah, I mean that line's been moving all day. That's an interesting one. Davidson and UMass. Listen, Davidson should be able to take care of business here. Without Lawan Pipkins, look, UMass is just not very good. I mean, you got to realize, guys, when you're dealing with teams like UMass, they lose a guy like Pipkins. There's just not a lot of guys there that can pick up the slack. And against a team like Davidson, who play tenacious defense, losing a guy like Pipkins is bad on two levels. One is the fact that he handles the ball, he's the facilitator, he's a good scorer, he's a great shooter, he's good from the line. All those things about Pipkins make Pipkins who he is. I mean, this guy shoots 81% from the line. He's a ball handler. He's diminutive. And you know what else he does? He gets bigs involved. Rasheed Holloway's not the same player without Lawan Pipkins. It just ravages your team. And a guy like Carl Pierre or a guy like Curtis Cobb or whoever you throw, Trey Wood, none of these guys are what Pipkins is to his team. And now you have to face a team in Davidson who is very good on the defensive end. They've gotten a lot of scoring. They're a good three-point shooting team. UMass, the worst three-point defense in this league. They're allowing opponents to shoot 36% from three. You throw it on the other level, can this team score without Pipkins, UMass? I don't think they can. This team really has issues scoring. And, not only was Pipkins a scorer, but the only reason they had really scored this year was because of Pipkins. He was a facilitator. This team turns the ball over too much. They have little height. They don't steal the ball. They don't really do anything well. But do you trust Davidson to go in and win by margin? They should win by double digits here. But Davidson, we've seen, does have problems at times with scoring enough points. Look, obviously the original numbers where you should have bet it. Now the fact that it's up to, 8.5, they still should get the job done here. I'd be real surprised. Just you got to realize without Pipkins, UMass just isn't very. They're not very good. 6'11", 6'12", Providence, St. Joe. I think Providence is worth a look here. Getting 6.5. I think this is a bad spot for St. John's. You look at them off the win against Marquette. It's a 12 o'clock game. Providence College play hard. I think that at the end of the day, they play good defense. They rebound the ball. They have some guys that I think really are just solid basketball players. And I think as we've seen with this Providence or with this St. John's team, sometimes they can have a few focus issues. I know Providence isn't playing well right now. And again, this is really more of a spot for Providence College. I think from a rebound perspective, they're really good. They can rebound. They can get offensive rebounds, create easy opportunities. They get to the line. They're not a great offensive team, but I think they're good enough to hang around in this game. And I wonder sometimes about the mental fortitude of St. John's. They did a tough spot off the big win. You're not maybe up for this one. It's early start. I would love to get 7 if you could find a 7, but I think Providence can do some things to stay in this game. So, give that for what it's worth. AJ Reeves back. He's giving you some quality. He hasn't played a ton of minutes, but I expect him to play more minutes today. Played 19 against Georgetown. I'd expect him to get, I don't know, probably close to 25, 30. I'd consider. I mean, why wouldn't he? I mean, he's looked decent, so he's got to get his shooting legs back. So it could be a good spot. Spot-wise, it's a bad one for St. John's. What else do we have here? Virginia Tech, Clemson. Not a huge opinion. I'm not a big Clemson guy, as many people know. Clemson, per usual, on the bubble, but without Justin Robinson, Virginia Tech has been dire. I mean dire. You look at without him, they had to play Louisville, a game in which I kind of talked about. It was ugly. Louisville beat them up this week. I had Louisville in that game, and they cruised. Without Justin Robinson, they're not very good. You look at the two games without Robinson, scored 47 and 64. Not good enough. Now you got to go on the road to Clemson. Tough spot. Clemson can't shoot, but I don't trust Clemson, so I don't have an opinion. This is a great spot for Clemson to just bottle it and lose somehow. That's what they do. That's what they do. That's why they're on the bubble every year. Miami, UNC. Obviously, a lot of points here. We saw Miami hang around last week against Virginia. Keep in mind, that was a tough spot if you took Virginia. There was no real reason for Ty Jerome to be out, but he was. Without him, I think it was kind of the difference in why they didn't cover. North Carolina is a different animal. There's just not a lot of talent on this Miami team. They're going to look to slow it down and try to just work clock and try to get Chris Likes. But this big front line for UNC, I just don't think is a very good matchup for them or for anyone, for that matter. It's a lot of points here. Maybe you catch North Carolina sleeping. Sometimes they come out pretty slow. You're probably going to get 8 in the first half. Maybe Miami sneaks in, and plays well for the first 11 minutes, and they find a way to cover this number. UNC does come out slow a lot of the time, but I think as the game goes on, UNC will get their legs under them and shouldn't have much trouble with Miami. Butler, Georgetown. I like this Georgetown team a lot. I think their future is bright. I think with a guy like Jesse Govan, he's a guy that I think will learn under the great tutelage of one of the best, Patrick Ewing. They've won 3 of 4. They run with a really good pace. You love the pace that Georgetown plays with. And Butler, they're just not very good on the road. I don't know what else to say about the Butler Bulldogs. You look at this Georgetown defense, and I think that's been one of the big stories with the Hoyas and how good they've been at times. You look at the fact that in conference, they're second and third in 3-point and 2-point defense. They've done a nice job defensively. They've really figured it out. And you're getting a Butler offense in here at times that does have some issues. They're not a good road team. I think Georgetown's worth the look. Anytime they're at home, I like what they do. I love McClung, love Akinjo, great defender. And Govan is probably a matchup problem for Butler. I just don't love Butler on the road. You look at on the road this year, Butler. I mean, there's not a lot to write home about. They have one road win, and it was at DePaul, which, I mean, no offense to the Blue Demons, but they're the worst team in the conference. So there's just not a lot of success away from home. In fact, there's little. So, Butler on the road's not really worth looking at. I would definitely kind of avoid. Please hit the like button. The haircut, I can only wake up so early. So I woke up at 9, my cleaning lady's here. So there's not a lot for me to, I can't really move around much in my house. So once I comb my hair, I kind of just comb my hair. So I wasn't able to jump in the shower and, so I had to kind of run with it. So sorry guys. But I did get a cut last night, got the shape. So that helped me. Let's keep it going here. Bucknell, Boston. That's a 12 o'clock game. BU, I like. This team can score a lot, in fact. I like BU. I always have. Joe Jones, a good coach. And, look, they lost last time out, but this team can score the basketball. Do a nice job. This team is number 1 in the country in 2-point offense. How about that? BU. I bet if I asked you that, no one would know that. Who's the number 1 2-point offense in the as far as point distribution in the country? It's Boston. Nice 2-point offense. But listen, I think there's too many points. I would grab the 10 with Boston. This is a road game. Bucknell is starting to play better, but I don't think this is the Bucknell team from last year. They've been dominant in conference, but you look at the first game these two teams played in conference. I think it was the second game, frankly. BU shot the lights out, beat Bucknell. It was an impressive game for BU. Max Mahoney at 26, Javonte McCoy with 18. It's a great game for BU. They can shoot. They really can shoot. And again, this is not the same Bucknell team, but that was very early in the conference season. Bucknell's really been able to rattle some off, but it is a revenge game. But you're giving me double digits. I got to lead towards the BU squad here. I like the way this team shoots. The Terriers are solid. Must defend today, though, which has been a problem. Could be a pretty high-scoring game, actually. LSU Auburn thoughts. I mean, look, I don't think like Auburn's a lot like Butler. Like if you're betting Auburn on the road, like I think you need to find another profession. Like Auburn stinks on the road. I mean, they have one road win this year on the road. Well, they have one road win. I shouldn't say one road win away on the road. Of course, they're away on the road. They have one road win this year. One, and it was at Texas A&M. Like, I mean, if you want to go and bet them on the road today, be my guest. But again, you have to also remember Oneki or Okike is injured. He may be hobbled in this game. Jared Harper had an ankle injury. He could be a bit hobbled. Austin Wiley's on a minute restriction. A lot of question marks about Auburn. Plus, they're on the road. And here's the thing about Auburn that I have real concern about in this game. You look at Auburn. In conference, they're number one in the country from the three-point line. Now, keep in mind, on the road, that goes down a bit. But you look at LSU. They're the best three-point defense in the country or in the conference. Bad matchup for Auburn because they are so fucking – they need the three-point to stay in games. They just don't really have much offense outside of that. You look at on the season, as far as point distribution, Auburn is – I mean, the discrepancy between 2 and 3 point distribution is very high. You look at Auburn, 13th as far as a percentage of total points that come from 3 points. 41% of their points come from the 3, 43% come from 2. That's one of the worst in the country. So there's a large discrepancy between 2 and 3 point production. You have a team in LSU that in conference has been terrific from the 3 point line as far as defensively, only allowing opponents to shoot 31%. You look at in conference, Auburn, okay, and this is why matchups are so important and why, frankly, if you're not looking at this stuff, you're not going to win a lot in college basketball. You have to look at matchups and how one team plays against another. And that's why, for me, I feel like I have a leg up on a lot of people because most of these kids don't know that, what teams run offensively, what teams do offensively, what teams do defensively. You have to be able to willing to rattle that stuff off. And here's the thing about Auburn LSU that you need to know. There's two things we just talked about. LSU loves the 3. Auburn loves the 3. LSU's terrific against it. You look at LSU, what they want to do offensively, get to the line, get to the hoop. Naz Reid, Tremont Waters, Cavell Bigby Williams, all those guys. They're number 1 in the league in 2-point field goals percentage as far as just the offense they run. It's slashing. It's high tempo. It's jump shots. It's Naz Reid and Waters. Look at Auburn, 11th in the league against the 2-point shot. They're struggling to defend at times. And they're on the road with injuries. I think it's a bad spot for Auburn. I don't trust them on the road. LSU's legitimate, guys. And they're legitimate. They are starting to really look like an interesting team. And I know we want to talk about, Kentucky and Mississippi State and Tennessee, but LSU's legitimate, man. I mean, they really are. So just remember that. Oh, and they're also number 1 in the league in offensive rebound percentage. So they get 38% of their misses. So, I mean, good luck with that. Is LSU a lock and could they lose? Sure, every team can. But as far as for me, there's a lot of things that make me wonder about this one. How many minutes do you think Wiley plays? I would say 20, 18, 20. 21, something like that. Auburn has owned LSU. I don't care about that, really. I don't care about those long-term stats. I mean, look at last night. I mean, St. Louis had owned had It was, I guess St. Joe's had issues with St. Louis. I mean, how did that look? I mean, it didn't really matter. I don't like those long-term things just because, I mean, I guess some of them are interesting, but those are different teams. They're different coaches. A lot of that stuff is kind of blown out proportion. Another one I had my eye on today, Samford against VMI. I like the Samford team. It's just, I like them. And it should. I mean, they're terrific against the spread team. They cash a lot of tickets. That's one thing about Samford I like. I mean, they're not a good team. They're not going to win, loss. They're not going to make the tournament. They're not good at a lot of things. But and again, they're not. Their win loss is there, but they're 15-7 against the spread. They cash tickets. If you back them, you're up 8 or so units. They just cover. That's what they do. And they're laying some points today against Virginia Military Institute. Now, one thing you have to know about Virginia Military Institute, over the years, they have been, whether it's Duger Balcom or Dan Earl, they're very 3-point reliant. VMI is, I don't know if you can get a bigger discrepancy year after year than VMI. They love the 3. Love it. They shoot a ton of them. Bubba Parham is the guy there at VMI. He's just, he can score. He's a great shooter. You look at the fact that from 3, Parham, 39%, good shooter. But that's really all they do. They're not a good defensive team. And you look at in conference. I mean, they have one conference win against Western Carolina. Big deal. You look at when they step up in competition against UNCG, Samford, Furman, Wofford, East Tennessee. All those games they got beat up in. Oh, I guess they lost by 3 to East Tennessee State. But other than that, they have gotten beat up when they've stepped up in conference. And you look at when this conference started this year, they played Samford, first game. They lost by 29 or 28, I think. And they got crushed by Samford. Samford beat them up. Everyone was scoring. Ruben Guerrero, everyone was putting the ball in the hoop for Samford that day. I don't think that just transferring venues is going to be much different here. VMI's lost 9 of 10. I mean, they're very dependent on the 3. And, Samford is a pretty decent 3-point defense, actually. You look at VMI, 24th in the country in 3-point distribution. They love the 3. Love it. You look at Samford. I mean, not bad. 6th in the league. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's a doable. And you look at Samford, you know what I love? 3rd in the league in getting to the line, 1st in converting them, 74% from the line. I think Samford does enough to go on the road and cover here. It's a tough spot, but VMI is pretty bad. Someone's asking about St. Bonaventure. Look, this is a spot you like, St. Bonaventure, at home, kind of that weird line. VCU looks like the best team in this conference, but you got to wonder, are they going to slip up here? You look at their last, few road games. They've been able to get the job done. They went to Rhode Island and lost. Went to Davidson and lost. The St. Bonaventure have enough to get the job done here. This isn't the team from last year. Adams, Mobley, both gone. They've been battling injuries this year. Everybody's back, though. And you look at they've won 3 of 4. Only loss coming against Davidson. Olean is a great arena. It's a great place to play. They always get a lot of fans up at the Riley Center. They're a good group as far as fans are concerned. But I wonder if Bonnie can score in this game. VCU's defense is very good. Their coach, who obviously we kind of forget about, Will Wade and Smart. Mike Rhodes done a nice job there. Still tenacious defensively. They really kind of try to speed you up and get you all over the place. And for a team at St. Bonaventure that does turn the ball over at a high rate, I worry about them in this one. VCU, to get into the tournament and win games, they usually get the job done in games like this. I just don't think this is the same Bonnie's team this year. I think VCU gets the best of them here. It's not a great spot. It's kind of a shaky line. You're only laying a few points. You're kind of wondering why we only laying 2 here. It is a good home atmosphere, but I don't really know what I'm getting out of St. Bonaventure this year. And you look at in step-up games, they've not been effective. They lost to Rhode Island, they lost to Dayton, they lost to Davidson. This is a step-up game. They haven't won step-up games. So lean VCU in this one. Want to thank all the people for joining us. Thanks for all of you for all your participation. We're nearing 400 people live. Now remember, this is my channel only. All I do is tweet this out, and I have 400 people in here. I don't have 30, 40, 50, 60,000 subs. I have about 3,000. And we have a ton of people in here. I thank all of you. You all are great, and I appreciate the support here. I will get to some questions, so hold those. Jar Jar checking in. What's up, buddy? Nuke Workers is saying, let's get 100 likes. That would be great. I know last night we had, I think, 200 or so. Thank you, Johnny Roast Beef. Cheers. Is Davidson a trap game? We talked about that one. You're going to have to listen back. Any opinions on Kentucky? What an interesting game that one is. I got to tell you, I think it's a pretty bad spot for Kentucky today. I got to be honest. They beat up Mississippi State in that first game. Mississippi State didn't shoot the ball well. But here's the problem with Mississippi State. This line is just plummeted. This is the kind of game where if you missed the number early, I would say chalk it up and say, well, I just missed this one. Get some revenge here for Mississippi State. And one issue that Kentucky has, it's no walk in the park from the three-point line trying to defend it. This Mississippi State team is good defensively, or good for the three-point line. And they're good defensively as well. But you look at Kentucky, 238 in the country against the three. Mississippi State has kind of changed their stripes a little bit. Not only are they really good defensively, but they can score. 35th in the country in effective field goal percentage, do a nice job of getting to the rock. They have, you know what I love about this team as well? They're pretty experienced. Got a lot of older guys on this team. They're not incredibly deep, but they do have a lot of acumen as far as, look at some of these guys, the Witherspoon twins, Lamar Peters, all these guys, been there, done that. They've lost a lot to Kentucky. But at 3, it sucks. But this at home, Starkville, I'll tell you what, and this is just my opinion. I think Mississippi State wins this game today. This would be a massive win for Mississippi State. It would kind of really elevate them because you look at Mississippi State, have had some of these bad losses. You lose to Alabama, you lost a tough one against LSU, you lost to your rivals, Ole Miss, lost a bad one out at South Carolina, and you got beat up by Kentucky. I'm telling you right now, and listen, you look at a conference, beat Dayton, beat Clemson, beat Cincinnati, beat Brigham Young, beat Wofford. This team has a pretty decent out of conference schedule. You look at overall, strength of schedule 24th. They've done enough in the non-conference. They have to have this one today. I'll tell you right now, I think they win this game. I think they beat Kentucky. I think everyone's going to look at this game and say, wow, look at that. Big revenge game for Mississippi State. A lot of these older guys, it's going to be the last shot at Kentucky. This would go a far way. And you look at coming up, guys. This is important to mention. Mississippi State really doesn't have any resume building spots outside of, late in the season. This is the spot today. You look at coming up. You got Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina, Missouri. There's nothing there that's going to help your resume. You have to have this today. I'm not saying it's a must-win, but you need to have it. And Mississippi State is a good matchup. The first game is in Kentucky. You didn't shoot the ball well. Chalk it up. If I'm Ben Howland today, I'm saying the time is now. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses that, it's Kentucky. They always beat us. Fuck that. Let's go out and fucking show these fuckers what Mississippi State basketball is all about. They win today. Take the 3. I think Mississippi State wins today. If that's not a rousing fucking opinion, I don't know what is. But it is. It's a great spot for Mississippi State. This is a good matchup for them. I really believe it. And what have we heard about Kentucky? How great is Kentucky? They don't ever lose. And they haven't. And they haven't lost since January 5th. But let me ask you a question. Do you know where that game was, January 5th? It was on the road. Road games, interesting. I just think it's a good spot. Mississippi State. I think they shoot the lights out. I think they win 73-71. How about that? Thank you, Doug Silverman. Appreciate that. Appreciate all that. David Barlag, thanks for joining us. I don't know what Edgar P's issue. Edgar P just commenting on my appearance. Edgar, move on, bro. Move on. Kentucky due for a loss, says Jordan. Couldn't agree more. Mississippi State, very little defense. I don't. Again, I hear you. It's not been as good as last year, but to say that you think Kentucky's going to eat inside, I don't know. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Eric Holman, Reggie, Reggie Perry, Abdul Addo. I think they'll do enough here. Again, it's a spot for me. It looks like a great spot. That's all. I think Mississippi State. And again, I think if Mississippi State loses this game, I think you can write them off. I don't know how they can rebound. They'll find their way in, but I think this is a spot you need to have if you're Mississippi State. A couple comments here. Thank you, Puppy Master. Appreciate it. When will the premium? I don't know. Maybe by noon or 1 o'clock. Buongiorno, Simon. Magify. Thanks for joining us. Cheers. Let's move on. I'll tell you what. I kind of like Dayton today against who does Dayton play? I fucking didn't even write it down. I like Dayton today, but I don't know who they're playing. No, I do. I just forget. Oh yeah, Rhode Island, right? In Rhode Island. I like this Dayton team. Number 2 guys in the country in 2-point offense. Dayton scores. They just score. I was blown away. I saw that a couple weeks ago. I was looking over 2-point offense and 3-point offense and who's efficient. Dayton, man, they are really efficient. Josh Cunningham, Jordan Davis, Jalen Crutcher, everybody's scoring for Dayton. They have been a load defensively and offensively, for that matter. And you look at defensively, Dayton have been very good. I mean, they're just really flying under the radar. I think they're going to be the team that wins this conference. It's just typical Dayton, fly under the radar, find ways to get it done. I don't love their away form, but I think they can go on the road and win this game. I don't love Rhode Island. I like their guard play, but that's about it. I think Josh Cunningham is going to have a big day in this game. You talk about a team with very much interior. You talk about Rhode Island, 237th in the country in average height. They have no bench. Neither team has a great bench. So most of the starting 5 are going to be the guys you're going to see. But I like the guards for Rhode Island, but that's about it. They're bigs. I just don't really trust. Josh Cunningham should have a big game here. Can I set a hypothetical line on Tennessee Villanova? Well, I don't know. You're gonna have to say where the game is. I don't know. LSD says he loves my voice. Well, thank you. I don't know how to approach that coming from another male, but can Northeastern cover against a bad Elon team? Yeah, look, anytime Northeastern plays a team like Elon, you think they can cover. Question is the line too high? I like Northeastern. I love the ball screen offense that they run. They're really efficient. Really efficient. That's what Bill Cohen does down there. He's got a great player in Pashika. Elon is really bad. Elon got worked against Hofstra. Fucking worked. Hofstra did whatever they wanted. I mean, it was ugly. 17 threes for Hofstra in that game. I mean, Northeastern shouldn't have any trouble. This is a big line. You're going to have to lay a lot of points in this game. How worried is Northeastern in this game as far as covering? Anytime I think you're up big in conference, you got to look to get your guys out. You got to rest people. A lot of games and a lot of days, not a lot of days here, and not a lot of 20-point wins for Northeastern lately. I mean, they had one. Beat William and Mary big. First game, Elon played pretty well. It was actually a game that went to overtime. Northeastern found a way. But look, laying this kind of number, I'm not running to the window to do it. Look, I like Northeastern laying 9.5, 10, but this number, Yeah, I'm good. John Jay's from Philly. Thanks for joining us, guys. Sorry if I'm missing your comments. There's a lot of people in here. We got over 400 people in here right now. It's hard to sometimes see everybody's comment. Um, I, I know if I say let's open it up to questions, I'm going to get 50,000 questions. Let me just go through a couple more games here, and then I'll answer a few of them. Yeah, hit the like button if you're in here. Thank you, appreciate it. Also, subscribe if you're new. It's a great way. I do the show every day, every Saturday at 10 a.m. I do it every weekday at 5 p.m. We'll go over the card. So make sure you join us. This is going to be your number one place for NCAA tournament coverage. This is my channel. I put the videos out. And I think if you know me, you know I have a fucking good work ethic. There's going to be a ton of great stuff coming up that I'm going to put out for you over the conference tournament spots and all that kind of thing. Any opinion on Duke, Virginia? Of course. Biggest game of the day. Can't wait for it. It's going to be a fascinating game. Look at the first time these two teams played. I thought it was a good learning experience. You look at Virginia, 17% from three. They're not going to shoot 17% today. There's also not going to be a foul discrepancy in this game like there was in the first. Duke, we all know what they're all about at home. It's that simple. Duke is you get the calls, let's just say. But Trey Jones is back, and that was what was impressive about Duke. I mean, Duke was able to win without Trey Jones. And I know people say, well, Virginia covered. It was a last-second jump shot that they covered with. I thought Duke played really well. In fact, they played terrific. They were almost 70% inside the two-point arc. That's pretty ridiculous against Virginia. Plus, Ty Jerome might not play. I think Jerome will give it a go. I don't think he's fully healthy, though. Listen, at this number, I love Virginia. I really do. And I think they could gladly win this game. I don't think there's a good side to bet on this one. As far as I wouldn't be betting on it, but I do think Duke will win. I really do. And I think Duke will vault in to the number one spot, honestly. I don't know how you can keep them out of the number one spot if they go to beat Virginia again at Virginia. I don't think they will. I just think they're too athletic. Defensively, they're way better than people think. They're really good. It's going to be tough to beat Duke. I hate to say it. I wonder if the cohesion will get to them and they just face a bad team at some point. But I think Duke, I would be real surprised if they don't get to the Final Four. I think they're, obviously we know they're very good. And with Trey Jones back, I mean, that's huge. Jerome being out, if he doesn't play, I just don't think there's any way Virginia can win. They just don't have enough bodies. When you take a guy like him out, you're losing not only a body, but you're losing depth. You're losing a great player, a good shooter, a great free throw shooter, a great defender. And that's the thing about Virginia. You have such high-level defenders. You lose guys like that, and the production goes down a little bit. So if he's not in there, it hurts. And again, even if he plays, is he fully healthy? That's a concern. Duke is really good from really all levels. So as we know, I'm not going to try to tell anyone stuff that they don't already know. We all know that. Guys, want to tell you also, look, I'm no salesman. I don't do that. But if you want my best picks, my 3 client plays I'm going to have today, again, I already released one of them, but I'm going to release a few more as well. Make sure you go to rightwager.com. I've hit 34 of 54. Really had a nice rebound off a bad start. Really seeing things pretty well right now. Obviously, we'll take it day by day. You never want to get too high on your losses or your wins, but I've done very well over the last 2+ months. If you have interest, rightwager.com. Again, people will vilify me for selling picks. Again, I have to earn a living. You know, I do a lot of work for people. And again, I don't make any money doing content now. So this is, you know, the way that you can contribute to the goals here. Again, not only that's what's great about content, because for what I'm doing, not only are you getting my best picks, but you're also getting these videos. I don't get paid to do this video right now. I'm just doing this because I like talking basketball and helping people out. But I don't make any money off doing this show. Not anymore. At least for right now. But I'm trying to grow this channel because I believe in what I can do. So if you're interested, feel free to join me. And it's a great way to say thank you to what I do. So good luck. And if you don't, I'm always going to be here for you. And that's what a lot of people can't say. Let's keep it moving here. I went ahead and put that in. All you got to do is register and purchase. And don't be that fucking idiot that says, "Oh, Big Man, just try to sell something." Look how many games I'm going over. I'm here every day. It's a great way to say thanks. Let's keep it moving here. I'll tell you a couple spots that I like as well. And I'm going to get to more things here. Have I thought about write-ups? No, I'm very confident in the picks I give. If you want to write up, you can gladly contact me. Thank you, Alan Action. That's kind of you. Appreciate the loyalty, guys. You don't have to be loyal to me, though. Those guys that talk about me, I don't really care. They don't bother me. They give me press and promotion. I'm very confident. I don't care. Let's keep it moving here. Guys, listen, I think an interesting spot today is Nebraska. I mean, on the card right now, is there one team that you don't want to back less than Nebraska? Seriously? I mean, outside of like the bad teams. But Nebraska stinks. They've lost 6 in a row, but now they're getting 12? 12! That's a lot of points. And while I think Purdue are really good and I think Nebraska are very average, that's a lot of points to be getting. 12? This is a buy low spot on Nebraska, if you ask me. Are they going to win? I don't know. But I still think they're talented enough to hang in the number here. This is a lot of points, if you ask me. And maybe Nebraska's quit. But I don't think they have. I don't think you can quit in this conference. They still have talent. It looks like too many points to me. That's all. And it looks like a decent spot to do a buy low opportunity on Nebe. You always run that risk and think, oh, maybe this team quit, which they could have. I don't think they have, though. I'm aware they're without Copeland. I understand that. He's been out for a while. But again, I think it's too many points. Furman, East Tennessee State. This will be a good game down in the SoCo. I'll tell you what. I looked for a couple. This is a game that I bet on actually. First time they played, I took Furman, and they got run. East Tennessee State beat them up on a Friday night. Beat them up. Beat them by 23. That was on the road though. Here's why I like Furman today. And again, I wonder about Furman sometimes because I wonder how good they really are. I think their early start kind of magnified and kind of put some rose-colored goggles on people. But you look at the first game, and now you got to go on the road from East Tennessee. East Tennessee's off a brutal loss to Wofford. Really gave them no chance now of winning this conference. You got to wonder how their mind is after heading on the road here, and now they got to face Furman. It's a bad spot for East Tennessee State. Furman, a pretty decent rebounding team. They shoot the ball well. I think Furman's in a nice spot here today. ETSU, it's going to be hard to pick yourself up after that loss the other night. Furman playing with some revenge. Two good teams here. I think it's a tough spot for the Bucks. I'd be really impressed if they went and got the job done here. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, WP. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Simone. What else do we have here? I'll take some questions. I'll just kind of pick some random ones out. Louisville, Florida State, interesting game there. I'm willing to think. I'm still not ready to just write off Florida State. I just think they're too talented to just kind of forget about. And I love Louisville. I love both these teams. But Florida State's starting to get it going a little bit. They've won 3 in a row. You look at it in this game, Florida State, a favorite. You kind of look at yourself and say, why are they a favorite by 3? If they're a 3.5-point favorite in this game, I think that tells you something here. I think Florida State gets a resounding win today. I really do. I really think they're in a good spot here. This team lives at the foul line. They love the foul. This should be a good over game, probably. Should be a lot of points in this game. Both teams shouldn't have any trouble scoring. Both teams have advantages in this game. Both teams great from the line. You should see a decent paced game here. I think the total looks pretty good in this game. If you're looking for a total today, this total's I think only what is it 143. I think the game finds its way over. You have a lot of talent on both sides here. Two good scoring teams, two teams that live at the foul line, two average defense. I think they're not great defensively. They're not really bad. They're good. They're not great. I think this game kind of finds its way over 143. I think you have the pace in this one. You don't have two teams that bog down and take forever to decide what they're going to do. Over 400 people in here. Thanks for joining us. Columbia off a triple overtime game last night. Yeah, I mean that's the Ivy League schedule for you. I don't normally get involved with Ivy League games in back to backs. This is a tough one. Does Wofford care enough to cover the 22? That's a good question, actually. And whenever you have a team off such a big win, you always have to worry. Western Carolina are a complete travesty. Like when I say West Carolina is bad, they're real bad. And I've talked about Western Carolina. They're dead last in the country in turnover percentage. They turn the ball over at a fucking unbelievable rate. Like 26% of their possessions they turn over. And Wofford in conference is just dominating. They have been fucking phenomenal on offense. They don't turn the ball over. They're terrific shooting the ball. I mean, there's just not a lot to like about West Carolina, but Wofford off a big win, a game in which they pretty much capped off the regular season title here. You're going to wonder, how do you get up for the next two games? You should win, but do you win by 22? I don't know. Not willing to step in front of Wofford, but maybe they are sleeping a little bit and win 81, 68 or something. Surely. Does Hofstra get the job done? They should. I mean, anytime Hofstra plays, I think you got to bet them. I think they're probably an auto bet at this point. They cover every number. And I don't like William and Mary. This is not the team from last year. This team is obviously, per usual, struggling defensively. They don't offer you much offensively. They're very dependent on the three. And Hofstra's been a great defense all year. That's one thing about Hofstra that I've been real impressed with. Their defense has gotten way better. Way better. And I'll continue to say the MVP of Hofstra is not Pemberton. It's not Wright Foreman. It's Desir Bowie. This guy is a terrific point guard, and he is the straw that stirs Hofstra. This team is 8th in the country in experience. They played together a long time. They're good, really effective. Should be able to cover against William and Mary. William and Mary aren't any good. Definitely not the team from last year. All right, guys, I'm going to be on for another 5 minutes or so. As many of you know, I respect Ian Cameron and Drew Martin a lot. They're friends of mine. And I will not be on the air when they're on the air. They didn't do anything. They're not involved in what I have going on in my personal life. I am not going to run into their show. They have a show coming up, which I'd urge you to watch. They're great guys, and they do a lot of great work. You're not a bullshit marketer. That is guessing. You should mention your premium service every 10 minutes. Well, again, Dan, I appreciate the advice, but that's not the kind of guy I am. People know where to find me. They can find me. What happened to SBR? We just moved on from each other. What game do I like better, Kentucky, Mississippi State, or Georgetown, Butler? I like both of them. In fact, I think Mississippi State's a real nice play today. I would definitely jump on them. I think Oklahoma State has some success today. I just think it's going to be tough for Kansas to cover that kind of number. Dayton looks pretty good as well. Give us one last juicy one. I gave you a lot of them. But yeah, again, guys, those guys are my friends. I'm not going to cut into their time. That's why I did the show at 10. I think it's a great way to kind of get my points out, and I don't want to be on too long. It's just not something I want to do for too long. I can't be on it for 2-3 hours. I'll give you a juicy one. Where do I want to go? I think NC Central's a great pick today. I think they crush Maryland Eastern Shore. I've been on record as saying I think Maryland Eastern Shore is the worst team in the country. They are a hideous basketball team. Like, I mean, hideous. Like, I don't know how they will ever win games. NC Central's at home. They're really good. They should crush UMES. Thank you, guys. I will probably be on Periscope later, kind of addressing the late card, the later games, from like 6 or 7 on. So I'd obviously recommend following me on Twitter. I could definitely, help you out there. Probably do something later just to kind of help out and help whenever I can. So make sure you check that out. Thanks to all of you guys for joining me. Again, please don't inundate me with questions, but if you have a real big question, and again, NC Central is not a play of the day. He asked me to throw a game out that I like, and I am. I would say for me, the show play of the day, which I'm going to give one, is I'm going to rock with Oklahoma State. I think they keep this one close today. I think Kansas will win, but I'll take the free 11 points here and hope we get one that they hang around in. I think BU hangs around as well against Bucknell. Stay tuned later. I'll get to some other stuff and do some periscopes a little bit later. Try to help. I can't go to Sugar House. My girl's going to be around. I can't go to the Sugar House. Well, then don't bet it, Jordan. I don't care. You think I care what you bet? Don't bet it then. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We will be back Monday at 5 o'clock with another show. Over 400 people in here. You guys are the best. Thanks for checking me out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. All of you, good luck today in all your picks.